Welcome into the Logan Ward Show here on 12 Ounce Sports. Glad to have you all in here. However you're listening, podcast, whether you're listening on 12 Ounce Sports live right now, thank you all for joining us. We got a loaded show today. Fantastic show. It's going to be a show that is just me. Mo's got some things he's doing tonight, so it's just going to be me tonight. So I hope you stick around. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you have some fun. We're going to talk a lot of March Madness. A lot of March Madness today, as we're now kind of in the thick of it. We got a couple more rounds left, and then we are into the championship. So, going to be a lot of fun. Glad to have you all in here on a Wednesday. I'm fired up. So we're doing our bracket challenge, the ESPN tournament challenge that we've done, that we did before the tournament started, and I am here to report that I am not doing too hot. I'm tied for 29th with a bunch of other people. About 50 people actually was on our bracket challenge, so a huge shout out to all of you that did that, all of you that competed in this challenge, all of you that have followed the page and have competed in this bracket challenge. I have not done so hot. We're not really going to talk about that much today. This is it. This is my own it moment. I'm not done too hot, okay? I had Illinois in the championship. Didn't happen. Or not in the championship, in the Final Four. Obviously didn't happen. I had Ohio State going really well. I had the Big Ten, and the Big Ten has been a disaster. It was terrible. But we do have two people that are in first place right now, so shout out to Rhino5 and Chase Gimbel. Both of those two fellas are tied for first place. And if there is a tie, the winner, we'll split the $100 Visa gift card between the two of them. They'll both get a Logan Ward Show sticker. So I want to start with that. I want to start with March Madness, and I want to start with this fact. So right now we're talking about a lot of upsets. In 2021, we have had an insane amount of upsets, to the point where we've had two 10-7 upsets. We've had two 11-16 upsets. We had one 12-15. We had two 13-4 upsets. We had one 14-3 Abilene Christian over Texas. And we had one 15-2 Oral Roberts over Ohio State. So those are the upsets that we've had this year, and I can't recall a time that we had this many upsets in a tournament. Cannot recall the last time that this is the case. But I want to talk about mid-majors, because mid-majors aren't actually competing for championships. And I don't want to hear, well, Gonzaga's a mid-major. I don't want to hear it. They've been a mid-major, and now they're not. They're no longer a mid-major. They only have basketball. They don't have football. They're a basketball school. They play basketball year-round. This is everything to that university, and they've been playing at a high level for like 15 years. Gonzaga's not a mid-major, okay? I'm not counting them. Loyola Chicago, they're starting to get a little bit of that mid-major, maybe not so mid-major vibe now, as they're headed to another Sweet 16. But mid-majors aren't competing for national championships. They're not. There's only been one 16 seed get a victory in the entire tournament's existence. One. 16 seeds are 1 in 140 in this tournament. Most of those 16 seeds, you're mid-majors. Your teams that won a conference championship, they get one at-large bid, they win the conference championship, and guess what? They usually get 14, 15, and 16 seeds. Well, in the history of this tournament, only one 16 seed has won. One game. Only two 15 seeds have won 2 games and got to the Sweet 16. Oral Roberts is only the second 15 seed to ever get to the Sweet 16. That's just winning 2 games. It's not like winning 6. That's winning 2. We've never had it. This is what I think is funny, because we all like mid-majors. We all like the Cinderella story. But they're not going to win championships. They're not competing for championships. What mid-majors are competing for is that one shining moment. That's what they're competing for. The one shining moment. Y'all know this song? This is what they're competing for. This is the NCAA's March Madness anthem. Now, whatever you think about the song, this is what the mid-majors are competing for. They're competing for that one shining moment. Oral Roberts has gotten it this year. They've gotten their one shining moment. That is a win. These 2 tournament wins, that's something that they're going to be able to take on for the next 5 years. Recruits are going to want to come to Oral Roberts because they made it to the Sweet 16. This is what mid-majors are competing for. They're going for that one shining moment. Years ago, Jimmer Fredette, one shining moment. BYU, not a real known school. It's not a mid-major, but not a well-known school. Florida Gulf Coast a couple years ago. One shining moment. They got a lot of recruits. Stephen F. Austin, which is where I graduated from. Stephen F. Austin, when I was in school, went to a upset West Virginia, who was a 3 seed at the time, a 14-3 upset over West Virginia. Absolutely dominated. Thomas Walkup became an overnight sensation. Okay? Had from beating Notre Dame and going to the Sweet 16. At the buzzer, lost to Notre Dame. Guess what? A couple years later, had the best recruiting class SFA's ever had. That is what they're competing for. That's what mid-majors are doing in this tournament. They know that they don't actually have a chance to win 6 games in this tournament. There's no way those teams are beating the Gonzagas, the Texas, the Illinois, the Michigan, the Baylor. They're not beating all of those teams 6 times. You get one shot, and if you win that one, great. Can you beat 5 other teams that are just as good as that, if not better? Mid-majors aren't competing for championships. They're competing for that one shining moment. And this is not a knock on mid-majors. I'm not saying that mid-majors don't go to mid-majors. I think that mid-majors are great. This is a great thing for the university. It's a great thing for the communities that they're in. But if you are a collegiate athlete, you've got to understand that if you're going to a mid-major, you are not competing for national championships. You're competing for conference championships, and you're competing for your one shining moment. That's what this is. There's only been 9 15 seeds that have won games. Only one game. 9. 21 14 seeds have won games. 31 13 seeds have won games. It's not a great record against those higher seeded teams. Mid-majors, I love the story. That's what you're playing for. You're playing for your one shining moment, your one moment that you can show recruits, that you can show your donors, your university donors, that you deserve better facilities because you're competing. You're making noise in the tournament. That's what you're competing for when you're a mid-major, not a national championship. All right, let me segue to this. So, got me thinking, watching NCAA March Madness, got me thinking about a lot of things because this year, like I said at the beginning of the show, this year it has been absolutely insane the amount of upsets we have gotten. I mean, we've gotten a ton of upsets this year, more than I think I can remember. We've gotten a ton of upsets. We've got 10, 11 upsets in that first round. You know, you have 2 11 seeds, you have 2 or higher seeds going in, UCLA, Syracuse, those seeds. Loyola Chicago's an 8 seed, but they're in there. You got a lot. Oral Roberts still at a 15 seed that's still in. You got a lot of upsets. And it got me thinking about this. The knock on college football right now is that the 4 same teams are competing, and there's always been this thing about expanding the college football playoff. After watching some of this, after watching March Madness, we got to expand it to 8. You've got to expand the college football playoff to 8. Have your 5 conference champions, the team that had won your conference championship game, those 3, and then 3 at-large bids. Last year, Cincinnati would have been in. A couple years ago, TCU would have been in. So what if they get blown out? So what if they lose? Guess what? 16 seeds have lost 140 times. 140 times. But guess what? We're going to remember that one that they won. We're going to remember that for the rest. We're going to remember Virginia losing that one time. That's what we're going to remember. So go all out. Why not? Why not have your 3 at-large bids? See if UCF can actually compete against Alabama. And if they can't, oh well, put them in again next year. I think that looking at NCAA March Madness has got to say to the NCAA that, hey, maybe we can do this. Maybe we can have this this kind of March Madness style in college football. Have your 5 conference champions and then 3 at-large bids. I think that if you put a Coastal Carolina this last year or Cincinnati in it, who cares if they get beat? I've changed my mind on this. I used to not be in the camp of like expansion, didn't want it. I think I've changed my mind. After watching March Madness and seeing, look, anything can happen in one game. Anything can happen. Quarterback goes down, running back goes down, defensive back goes down, offensive lineman goes down, coaching mishap, one play over the top gets beat. Anything can happen. Why not? Why not let Cincinnati and Coastal Carolina and BYU or any other teams that's on the bubble right there at 6 through 8, let them play. Let them. Even in a conference champion, you have a Pac-12 conference champion who's lost 4 games going up against Alabama. Let them play. They won their conference. Let it go. Let's play. That's one of the things that I thought of when we watched this March Madness was, hey, just let these people play. Just let them go out there and try to compete. I think that this is what the NCAA needs to do. Expand the playoff. March Madness has leaned to me in that direction. Go ahead. Just let them play. All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the NBA a little bit. The NBA is struggling right now, and it's not because of COVID. It's because of the injury bug. We'll talk about that coming up. And Antonio Brown, possibly to the Seahawks. Russell Wilson wants it. We'll talk about that coming up next on the show. All right, well, sports, they're rolling now. NCAA March Madness is actually the second most bet on thing in the country. So if you are wanting to bet on some March Madness games as they come up this weekend, you want to support the 12-ounce sports team, there's an easy way to get in on the sports betting action. 12-ounce sports is going to hook you up with a crazy deal when you sign up and make your first deposit on mybookie.ag. When you make that first deposit on mybookie.ag, they will match your first deposit up to $1,000. You put in $1,000, they'll put in $1,000. When you punch in the promo code 12-ounce sports, that's 12OZ sports, all caps, no spaces. When you sign up on mybookie.ag to get your deposit matched up to $1,000, remember, please, 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 always gamble responsibly. We'll be right back. You're watching The Logan Ward Show.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Well, we all shop now on Amazon, and we're all making Jeff Bezos a lot of money, even though he's not the CEO anymore. I'm sure he's got his cut in there. Next time you're planning on shopping on Amazon, go to 12ouncesportsnetwork.com/Amazon and help support our show and 12 Ounce Sports. It's that simple. All you have to do is go to 12ouncesports.com, network.com/Amazon, and it will redirect you straight to Amazon and just shop away. Go buy whatever you were wanting. That's 12ouncesportsnetwork.com/Amazon. All right, so NFL news. So Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown is a free agent now. He signed the one-year deal last year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, goes in, wins a Super Bowl with Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, Bruce Arians, goes and wins a Super Bowl there, and now is still a free agent. Is a free agent again. And there is a possibility that he is going to remain with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The report is that he has been in contact with them. The Buccaneers have been in contact with Russell Wilson. So there's some dialogue there between the agents and the team. But one thing that is interesting is ESPN radio host John Clayton told 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh that Russell Wilson really wants them to sign Antonio Brown. This was something that Russell Wilson wanted last year when Antonio Brown was looking for a team, when he ended up picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, for Antonio Brown, that might have been the right choice. He might have, chose the right team because he won a Super Bowl from it. But if you're Russell Wilson and you know you're not happy here, you haven't formally requested a trade, but you've laid out the number of teams that you would go to, your preferred destinations. Now, a couple of them have got their quarterbacks. The Chicago didn't happen. Dallas didn't happen. The Saints aren't happening. The Raiders probably aren't happening. So you're kind of narrowing it down now to the teams that you want to go to. So if you are Russell Wilson, you want the Seattle Seahawks to show you that they want you. Everyone wants to feel appreciated. Everyone wants to feel good about themselves and feel like they're heard. This is what Russell Wilson wants. And Russell Wilson, to this point, Hasn't gotten it. Now, I don't know who Antonio Brown is talking to. I don't know if he's talking to other teams. I don't know if his agents are talking to the Seattle Seahawks. But it is reported that Russell Wilson wants Antonio Brown. If you're the Seahawks, you got to go get him. You can't let him brew. You can't let him just get angry at this situation as well. He wants a stake in the offense. He wants to have personnel around him to succeed. He wants these things, and you are consistently not getting him this help. There are different situations. Russell Wilson is in a different situation than, say, another quarterback who won it out, Deshaun Watson. On the football field, I'm just talking about football field here. We're not going to get into any of the Deshaun Watson stuff, off the field stuff. But on the football field, Deshaun Watson he signed the contract. The reason that they traded DeAndre Hopkins, couldn't get all that. He had some weapons around him. Seattle, they don't really let him have a say in the offense. That's all Pete Carroll, and that was Schottenheimer. Now they aren't giving him any say, maybe in free agency and signings. This isn't a good look for the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson wants Antonio Brown. You need to try to go get him. If it's an outrageous price, then I understand it. But he's going to probably sign another one-year deal. I think that Antonio Brown and his agents know that he's not going to get max money. He's not going to get some crazy free agent contract. It's going to be a couple teams. Does he want to go back and still be probably the fourth most targeted player, maybe fifth after Scotty Miller? Do you want to be that guy? Or do you want to go to Seattle where you maybe 2 or 3, depending on the day? I think Antonio Brown is an interesting prospect, and he's somebody that he's been very quiet this free agency. We haven't heard a lot from Antonio Brown. I understand that the wide receivers are like the fun position to talk about. It's not offensive linemen and defensive edge rushers. It's not those guys. Those guys are really boring to talk about. But Antonio Brown's been real quiet. And there's been a lot of moves, and I know that this is a good wide receiver draft class with Jamar Chase and Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle. I know this is a really good wide receiver class, kind of just like last year's. But maybe Antonio Brown, Russell Wilson wanted him last year before he signed with Tampa Bay. Now that he's still saying that he wants him. If you're Seattle, you're probably going to have to listen to him. You're probably going to have to go out on a ledge, and you're probably going to have to go get him. Because you don't want to make Russell Wilson any more upset than he already is. And if he feels unheard, if he feels underappreciated, that's not a good look for Seattle, and it's definitely not going to help anything in terms of the relationship with him and the organization. Go get Antonio Brown. I think he's over his pity party that he had a couple years ago. Go get him. It's a one-year deal, $5 million, get it. $5.8 million, get it. Just to show Russell Wilson that you hear him. If not anything else, just that. Just that you can show Russell Wilson that we hear you, we value your opinion. We're going to go get this guy. If it doesn't work out, guess what? We paid him $5, $6, $7 million, and that is a $7 million investment that you're going to make to keep your quarterback. Think of it like that if you're Seattle. And if you're Seattle fans, maybe that's what it takes. All right. So, the NBA, we're almost to the finish line in the NBA. But the NBA is limping to the finish line. They are limping. These injuries that have accumulated with the NBA has been, it's been the injuries in the last couple of weeks have been an absolute disaster for the NBA. LeBron James, you're one of the MVP candidates, goes down. LaMelo Ball, the MVP or the Rookie of the Year front runner, goes down. Steph Curry goes down. AD's still out. Kevin Durant's still out. Kyrie Irving's taking a sabbatical again for a couple days for some personal reasons. James Harden is dealing with a neck injury. He's going to be out again tonight. All of these injuries are piling up. Joel Embiid also has gotten hurt. The injuries are starting to pile up for the NBA, and they better hope that by the time the playoffs get here and Anthony Davis is back, LeBron James is back, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Steph Curry, if they make it into the playoffs, you better hope that at least some of these stars are healthy. Because if they're not, it is going to be a rough playoff for the NBA. If you're looking at the NBA, look, March Madness has kind of taken over in the last couple of days. Obviously, everyone's been watching March Madness. I haven't personally kept up with a ton of NBA in the last week because of March Madness, trying to watch some March Madness, watching the men's college basketball tournament, watching some of the women's college basketball tournament, which has also been fantastic, by the way. I watched Stephen F. Austin, Lady Jacks versus Georgia Tech. Great game. Georgia Tech ended up coming back and winning and avoiding the upset, but a great game. But I've been watching college basketball for the last week, so I haven't watched a lot of NBA, but the injuries aren't helping. It's definitely not helping these star teams, the Brooklyn Nets and the Los Angeles Lakers, who we assume are going to be in the championship game, in the finals. We just assume that they're going to be there because those are the two best teams with the two best players on the planet. Two top three teams, players on the planet, plus Anthony Davis, James Harden. We think that these are the two most complete teams in the NBA, and they're probably going to meet in the NBA Finals. These injuries, that could change some things. If you're looking at the standings right now, the Brooklyn Nets are one game behind the 76ers for the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. The 76ers are 31-13. Moving over to the the Western Conference, and the Utah Jazz, 31-11. They're the number 1 seed in the West right now. Number 2 seed, surprisingly, the Phoenix Suns. It's crazy what happens when Chris Paul starts playing for your team. He goes to Oklahoma City, they start winning. He goes to Houston, and they win a little bit more. He goes to Phoenix, hey, guess what? Now they're winning. Chris Paul is that dude. Wins. Los Angeles is the Clippers and Lakers both at 28-16 at the 3 and the 4 seeds. And like I said, we only have a couple of weeks left until the end of the regular season. We don't have much longer until we're in playoff mode at this point. Right now, the Dallas Mavericks are the 8th seed. Golden State Warriors are 2.5 games back of the Mavericks for that 8th seed in the Western Conference. In the Eastern Conference, my Boston Celtics are the 8th seed at 21-22. They've been an absolute disaster this second half of the season. They didn't pick it up. They didn't do great going into the All-Star break, and since the All-Star break, they've been abysmal. They lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Sacramento Kings back-to-back games. I almost had to quit being a Boston Celtics fan after that. After losing to the Cleveland Cavaliers, who were 6-27, and the Sacramento Kings, who are 18-25, I almost had to quit. So the NBA, I haven't been watching a ton in the last couple of weeks, but I know that the injuries are catching up to them. I know that these injuries are going to be something that they are going to be looking at extensively and hoping that these players can come back here in the last couple of weeks, moving into the postseason, not very far from now. If we look at some of the MVP, Joel Embiid was going to lead the MVP. LeBron James was getting some MVP attention. I don't think that LeBron's going to win the MVP anymore, especially if he's going to miss some extended period of time, which seems to be the case. So I don't think that LeBron James is going to win it, even though I've said it for 6 years. You give LeBron James the MVP every single year because he actually is the most valuable player on the entire league. So you give it to him, but they're not going to. They'll probably give it to Joel Embiid. There's a lot of, I'll have a whole entire show. We'll talk about the MVP, the Coach of the Year, Rookie of the Year. We'll talk about all those, Sixth Man of the Year, those sorts of things. We'll have that coming up later on once we get more into the NBA postseason. But the NBA is, right now, they're just limping to the finish line. They're just trying to do whatever they can to get to the finish line. Like I said, not going to be a situation where people are going to be watching the NBA right now, especially with the college basketball and the way that the upsets have gone. It's not going to be a ton. The final thing that I want to talk about, and I only want to touch on this just a little bit. I want to talk about it just briefly because this is a sports show. We talk about sports, but I don't want to ever be one of those people that shies away from talking about tough conversations in the sports world. And right now there's this situation with Deshaun Watson. And earlier with the Russell Wilson stuff I talked about on the field, I want to talk a little bit about off the field stuff, and then we'll talk about on the field. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I am not someone who's going to sit here and judge just by accusations. But either way, no matter what has happened with this, I think it's now 14 lawsuits, 21 women now have accused him of misconduct, assaults, whatever you want to say, harassment, misconduct. If it is true, it's an awful thing. Absolutely awful. For the victims, for the NFL, for the Houston Texans, for the victims' families, everything. I mean, it's just an awful situation overall. If it is not true, if it is false, it's a horrible situation. When these things happen, it's not fun. It's not good. No matter what happens, no matter whether it's true or false, someone's getting hurt, someone's been hurt. So I'm not going to make accusations on whether or not I believe the validity of the cases. I'm not a lawyer. I haven't seen things. I don't know. But I will say this, either way this goes, whatever the facts are of the matter, which I don't know them, it's not a good situation. It's a terrible look. And it's a terrible, terrible situation. Now, I feel like even if there's some truths to some lies every single time, I don't think that the amount of people would have come out if there wasn't a little bit of truth. Whether or not it's all the way true or a little bit true, I don't know. But no matter how you slice it, no matter how you look at it, it's a terrible situation. It's not good for anybody. It's not fun. It's not what I want to be talking about. It's not about what anyone wants to be talking about at this point. Because we were 3 weeks ago just talking about Deshaun Watson's NFL career in terms of where he's going to be. Is he going to get traded? He wants a trade. He wants out. He's demanded a trade. What happens? That seems like a lifetime ago. It was only a couple weeks ago that we were talking about that. Now, it's a much more serious matter. Now, the stakes are a lot higher than just where will Deshaun Watson play football next year. The stakes have become way up here. They're so much higher now than just where he's going to play football. Again, I don't know who's right. I don't know who's telling the truth. I don't know if people are lying. I don't know. We'll wait and see. But no matter how you slice it, it's not a good situation to be in, no matter what. All right. I didn't want to end on a somber note like that. I don't like doing that. I just thought I had to mention it. I mean, it's been the news in the last week. I can't not mention it. Just didn't want to end on that, but I guess we will. So, hey, March Madness coming up this weekend. March Madness Sweet 16. Hey, for the record, I'm streaming this, recording this. For the record, this is it everywhere. My two championship teams still in it. Gonzaga Villanova. I will be rooting for Villanova so hard this weekend against Baylor. Never really liked Baylor. This won't be a problem. I kind of have a soft spot for Villanova now. So Villanova, let's go Nova. Still in my championship. If I can get a Gonzaga Villanova championship correctly, who knows? I mean, anything can happen, right? The point system, I don't know. Now, all my other picks have been absolutely disastrous, but my two championship teams are still there. Go Nova, go. All right, we'll be back next week. Plenty of stuff to talk about. We'll talk about the Sweet 16, moving into the Elite Eight. We'll talk about that. Who's going to be there in that final set. So we'll talk about that next week. And I'm sure there's plenty of other NFL stuff. I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that we've already missed this week. So we'll talk about it next week here on the Logan Ward Show. Be sure to follow us on social media at Logan Ward, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you use social media. Go there. Follow us on social media. It goes a long way just to support the show. And you can also follow us on YouTube or subscribe to us on YouTube. Just search The Logan Ward Show. You'll find us. Subscribe right there. YouTube helps us a ton as well. All right. That'll do it for us. See y'all next week. This has been The Logan Ward Show on 12 Ounce Sports.